Okay, it's exactly 5:30. Would you please take a seat?
So they might start with number 7 on one question.
We're going to start things off with the current president of the Chamber of Commerce leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you all please rise? Very briefly, I'd like to welcome everyone to the candidate forum and get right into letting the candidates know what we're going to do in terms of the questions. We have 9 numbers. I'm going to deposit them in a jar over here to my right, and I'm going to draw the first number out, and whatever number you are assigned here, you will start that question out. For example, if it's number 6, who's number 6? Okay, Bob Leone would start the first question. It would go to his left and then come all the way over here to Mr. Watson. Everybody got the idea? Yeah. All right, I won't beat it to death then. I'd also like to wish everyone well and make sure all the screw-ups are mine. First number drawn, number 8. Briefly describe yourself and why you are a candidate for the town council.
All right.
Merle Abel.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate everyone that's here this evening, and I also want to thank the Yucca Valley Chamber of Commerce for hosting this tonight. My name is Merle Abel, and I'm running for town council. I've been a part of the community for 24 years, and I've enjoyed being here. I've raised 2 daughters, Jennifer and Katrina. My wife and I came here to serve in the Morongo Unified School District, and I've taught as a high school principal. I've taught also as a coach, and I've also worked as a member in our community in a small business, which is real estate. I've also served on the Yucca Valley the Yucca Valley commissions, such as the Traffic Commission, the Parks and Recreation Commission, and I currently serve on the Town Council. I believe we need decisive leadership. I believe we also need people that make decisions that are good for the community and not for political purpose or reason. So I appreciate being here tonight, and I appreciate all of you showing up.
Thank you, Merle. Mr. Dennison, same question. Would you like me to repeat it?
No, thank you. Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Rick Dennison. I've been a resident here since 1976, and I've been a firefighter in this community since 1981. I've had the opportunity to help people in all types of situations. I've had a business in the area. I own a home in the area. My wife and I got married and live here and have raised 2 daughters that have now are in college and in the military. The thing, when I started in this town in 1976, when I first moved here, this town welcomed me with open arms. And I've always said during all that time that I want to do things to help out the community. Now that I'm getting close to retiring, I thought this was a perfect opportunity. I didn't know if it was going to be mowing the lawn at the Boys and Girls Club. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I wanted to do something to pay back a little bit, and this is it. I want to get involved. I want to be your representative for the town of Yucca Valley, and I want to help guide the future growth of Yucca Valley and try and instill some of the beliefs that the founders of this community had. Thank you very much.
Mr. Watson, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, thank you. My name is Dean Watson. My wife and I have just recently retired here from Alaska. We're from California originally. We did a small stint in Alaska for a while, and we came down here for our health. Our grandchildren and some of our children have lived here in Yucca Valley off and on for 25 years. We've always found it to be a wonderful community. They're very nice people. I've hoped that since I retired that I'd be able to turn around and do something that would keep me a little bit occupied and get me out of the house 2 nights a week for the wife, give her a break. And about the only thing I've served around here is her for 54 years, so I'll do that and see if I can't find some time to serve the community too. Thank you.
Mr. Droz.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jeff Drozd, and just like Mr. Dennison, I've been a member of this community since 1976 also, but I was still in high school. So I graduated from Yucca Valley High School in 1979. I've lived throughout the Morongo Basin, mostly in Yucca Valley for most of those 38 years. I teach at Yucca Valley High School. That's my full-time job. I teach part-time at Copper Mountain College. I'm a planning commissioner for the town of Yucca Valley. I have been for 3 years. I've only missed one meeting. And throughout the years, I've always loved Yucca Valley. I've always promoted it. I've always loved it. I've always talked good about it. I fought cancer through it. That's how I lost my arm, from having cancer. There were fundraisers. They raised over $7,000 to help me get through my treatments. And it's just been a welcoming town to me, and I've always liked it. Thank you.
Mr. McHenry, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, that's fine. Thank you. For those who don't know me, my name is Charles McHenry. I've lived in Yucca Valley, my wife and I, since 2002. We moved here from Utah. And before I get started, I'd like to thank the Chamber for hosting this event, and I'd like to thank you all for taking the time out of your evening to attend. You know, people have asked me, why am I running for the town council? Well, the main reason I can give them is because I care about our community. Because I see things around our community that I think I can address to make better than what they are. As you can tell, I'm a little bit of a nurse. Hopefully you guys can bear with me. But right now, we got a lot of issues facing our town, and we're at a crossroads for our future. And I want to be the person on the town council that's going to be able to hear you and what you say if I'm elected. So that's why I've picked my slogan for the change we need, the voice we deserve. And I hope that you all let me be your voice come November 4th. Thank you.
Mr. Cohen.
Good afternoon. I'm Ron Cohen. My wife and I brought our retirement home in Yucca Valley 7 years ago because of its small town charm and its beautiful natural surroundings. Now we're worried. It's changing in a way that is detrimental to those qualities. My leadership and financial abilities have matured in the 41 years while working in both the military and civilian environments. And those unique qualifications will benefit the town in so many ways. I'm for better quality of life programs for the people of Yucca Valley. Some examples include concerts in the park, a full-time museum, and a pool available all during the summer months. With improvements in fiscal management, we can make this a reality. Our top priority needs to be listening to the people of Yucca Valley. We must establish a people-friendly, business-wise environment for both new and established businesses. We need to make Yucca Valley more attractive to our younger people by including them in the business of the town. With this elected position, I will establish town hall meetings to hear the needs of the people of this town. Thank you.
Ms. Herbell.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here this evening. My name is Lori Herbell, and I've lived here in the town of Yucca Valley for the past 11 years. I have the privilege of having my parents live just up the street from me. I'm the founder of the Certified Farmers Markets, where we promote health and a place for the community to come and meet and greet. One of the main reasons that I'm running for council is I'm very concerned about Yucca Valley's greatest challenge, and that is the sewer. Phase 1 being estimated at $146 million. No one should lose their home, and no one should lose their business over the cost of this sewer. I'm asking for your vote on November 4th. I'm ready to serve and willing to listen. Thank you.
Mr. Leone.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Robert Bob Leone. My wife and I moved up here in 1989. I'm retired law enforcement from the Los Angeles Police Department. I was on the Planning Commission back in 95 and 96 and was elected for the first time in 1996. At that time, I completed 3 4-year terms on the Council of Yucca Valley. I retired in 2008 because my wife had come down with lymphoma cancer, and I had to get my knees done so I could keep walking around. And I ran again this last March to fill a vacancy that Isaac Hageman had made on the council. So that 19-month term was served by me and is up this November. I would appreciate your vote in November because I have some other important items that I have on the board that I would like to complete, and so I am running for another 4 years. Thank you.
Mrs. Simmons.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and fellow candidates. I would like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this forum. My name is Susan Simmons, and I've lived in Yucca Valley for 25 years, the Basin for 33 years. I've been married to my husband, Mark, for 26 years. We raised our son here. I started my business here 12 years ago, and I have an accounting background. I'm running for town council because I want to make a difference and bring diversity and new ideas. I'm level-headed, and I have a strong work ethic. I believe the key ingredients to a successful community are balanced growth, common sense, strong public safety, and government accountability. I am an advocate for a small business, the arts, and the environment. I attend regular meetings of the Town Council, Planning Commission, and High Desert Water District. On many occasions, I've spoken up for this community in those forums, and I will continue to do so. We need to work together to succeed for better days lie ahead in Yucca Valley.
Thank you. That was great. Good first round. So now we'll give you an applause. And I will pick the next victim. Number 3. The question is, how would you plan to promote our business community and encourage new businesses to come to Yucca Valley?
Well, first of all, I would partner with the Chamber to work closely hand in hand with the Chamber, attend Chamber events to help the outreach and be a liaison between the Town Council and the Chamber. Right, I've talked to the business owners that are already here, find out things that the town can do better than what they've already done. And I would approach and write letters to owners of business that I think that would be appropriate for here, for this area. And that's, the public outreach is the main goal of the Chamber, more so than the Town Council. But I feel like, as council members, we need to approach outside business, try to bring them up here and show them what we have in this area that's important.
Mr. Cohen.
Interesting question. One of our probably most untapped resources is tourism. And tourism is what helps this town and makes this town probably more than anything else in the world. There's no heavy businesses here. There's no big businesses here. There's a lot of what we call ma and pa shop stores. And things like the medians need to be thought very, very carefully. And every business should chime in. The medians that we recently put in is actually reducing our community and hurting our community because they can't get to the ma and pa stores. So why do I talk about those stores versus the big business store, or the big box stores? The big box stores, you buy once and it goes back to Arkansas, whereas the little shops, you buy once and it gets turned over 3 or 4 times. So $100 becomes $400. Thank you.
Mrs. Herbell.
Thank you. Our growth, our business growth, is dependent upon having a sewer in this town. When our sewer is up and running, we will have more businesses that will come to our town, and we will have a lot more sit-down restaurants. I will encourage small business growth and make it the town's priority that we understand what the small businesses need and make the permitting process easy. Joshua Tree National Park pulls in an annual visitorship of 1.4 million people, and they spend $58 million a year in the surrounding economies. I think that we can expand on that tourism and help our community to grow, as well as expanding on our small businesses. Thank you.
Mr. Leone,
Can you repeat that question again?
I sure will. How would you plan to promote our business community and encourage new businesses to come to Yucca Valley?
Well, I am a big supporter of the local businesses here in Yucca Valley, and I think we have to have a process that encourages small businesses to come along our corridor on Highway 62. Unfortunately, we've done some things in the past which I have objected to, the medians, for example, and prohibiting left-hand turns. That was a town project that I was against back in 2001 because I knew it would inhibit the access to the small business community. Also, the medians are, I think, a hazard to an effort for our emergency vehicles to transgress across our Highway 62. Being a lone supporter of that, they went forward, and this is a town project, and I'm always encouraging small business to come in on a corridor.
Okay, Mrs. Simmons.
Yes, much of what Bob Leone just said is correct. I think that the medians have hurt some of those businesses. However, for the chamber to work in helping to fill up those businesses along that corridor, I believe that we should create a downtown partnership possibly. And if we can work with a county in creating enterprise zones where their taxes are reduced to the county or property taxes are reduced to the county, I think that would really encourage people to fill up those spaces.
Thank you. Mr. Abel.
All right, thank you. First of all, promoting business is vitally important. Most of our budget comes from property taxes and sales tax, and so business is a real key part. And we are the financial hub of the Morongo Basin. But what I'm really proud of is our local businesses. I know that my parents owned a local business down in the Los Alamitos area, and I know how many hours and how much work that takes. So promoting our local business is vitally important, plus those dollars that are spent locally stay local. What I'm really proud of is as new business is coming to our area, we're losing tax dollars to the low desert. What I was really proud of is that Walmart was heading this way, and as the other projects that you see on the highway were heading, we didn't have a development impact fee in place. And that was one of the most critical votes that I spearheaded, putting in development impact fees for two reasons. Number one, we'll only get a large super Walmart one time in our lifetime. So we need to capture those dollars from them when they come and develop that super Walmart. Number two is that by doing a development impact fees, we're encouraging people to fill in the businesses that are already here, the vacant buildings that are here. And those lands have already been disturbed, so we need those businesses to move into our vacant buildings, not build new ones. And so that development impact fee was vitally important.
Thank you. Mr. Dennison.
Yes, I believe that tourism really starts here at home. It's up to all of us to work together as a community and actually improve and enhance our town to where we're so proud of it that we are our own best friend. We have to continue to finish these infrastructure projects. We have to make the town safe. We have to make transportation easy. We have to make recreation available. That's something that we do as a community. Not one person's going to do it or just a few on a council, but we can certainly provide the leadership and we can network out and help take your ideas and push them out. But the best way for tourism within this community, I feel, is for us to embrace this town. The same reason that we all came here, the same reason that we're all interested here this evening is because we love Yucca Valley. And we need to get that word outside of Yucca Valley. That's going to enhance tourism, make people want to come here and possibly even reside here in the future, buy homes here in the future, and start to purchase the products that our small businesses and our larger businesses provide for that type of travel. Thank you.
Mr. Watson.
Yes, I firmly believe in all those statements about the tourism and stuff like that. We need to enhance Grub Steak Day as we once had at the rodeos and stuff like that. Have people have an opportunity to come and enjoy Yucca Valley. Old Miners Day in Big Bear, for instance. is a tradition that people come from all over the state, sometimes all over around the world, just to go there. We need to have that same type of thing here, and I would suggest that the Chamber of Commerce in the city, and as Rick said, the people get in the community. We go to the city council meetings, and you fire a cannon off there. You got like 15 people in there. We need to get people more involved in the city and get fresh ideas and volunteers and people that actually turn around and want to do something with the community, the home that they live in. Thank you.
Mr. Droz.
Would you mind repeating it? It's kind of like the word that goes around the room and it changes.
Be happy to.
Thank you.
How would you plan to promote our business community and encourage new business to come to Yucca Valley?
All right. Our business community is totally dependent on tourism. I mean, quite a bit, actually, especially small business. That's the most important thing. But I disagree about the medians. I think the medians they're an inconvenience, but scientific studies have shown that they reduce traffic accidents 25 to 30%. So are we willing to risk the safety of the people of our town because we don't want to be inconvenienced? I mean, studies show that, and medians do help. And we have sidewalks and medians, and improvements like this, improvements to infrastructure, is what is going to help business, because people will feel welcome in town. They have sidewalks. Maybe we could possibly start some kind of project where local art is displayed on the medians, like down on El Paseo or something like that. So I am in favor of them, and I think we're moving in the right direction.
Thank you. How about a nice round for the second round? And the third victim to start things off will be number 5. And the question is, if elected, what business experience do you bring to the town of Yucca Valley Council?
One of my very great privileges in the town of Yucca Valley and outside the town of Yucca Valley is working with entrepreneurs and coaching them and helping them to launch their businesses. I have that opportunity at the Certified Farmers Market. We have one of our vendors, which has been there for some time, is now launching a business. I also have been able to help launch the new generation of dog trainers. I have been mentoring and coaching through the Animal Behavior College and have launched 4 new dog trainers within the community. So my specialty is small businesses, launching small businesses, and as far as my experience on the council, I've been on the council before, and I'm ready and willing to serve. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Leone.
My own business experiences, I have run the A to Z Ranch, where I have had some dogs that I raise and sell. As far as businesses go, the town of Yucca Valley, I've been on that council for 13 and a half years, and I've learned how to talk to people and to bring people together on issues. I am an advocate of listening and to the various problems that are out there. And as far as business goes, we've always had a balanced budget in all the terms that I've been on the council. I was mayor 3 terms, where I really brought the council together and were able to move forward. We produced many parks at that time and many of the road projects. So my experience really comes from my time on the town council for the 13 and a half years I've been with them.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Simmons.
My parents brought me up here when I was 15 years old in 1981. I attended school, graduated in 29 Palms, met my husband, got married, and I went to school for accounting. And I did work in accounting for 10 years. And after that, I decided that I wanted to start my own business. So in 2002, I opened my doors for a service business of mine. And I started that on a shoestring, and it's been successful ever since. And I think that I would bring business honesty. I think business ethics would fall under that category. And I understand people in business. I've been talking to them. I know what their needs are, because I know what mine are as a small business owner.
Thank you. Mr. Abel.
Yes, small business is vitally important. It's something I'm very familiar with. I have a degree in our community college where I grew up in supervision and management and was going into business. I have parents that have owned several small businesses, so I've lived the small businessman's life, and I've helped them with their businesses. I also work in the real estate business, and a lot of our businesses here are service industry businesses. And when I speak to my students, I talk to them about the importance of being a good employee and treating that job as if they own the business. How would a business owner work? How would they treat the customer? How would they treat the facilities? And so by doing that, I think I really have the heart of a small business person. Also, as a small businessman, I know that it's important to get people out of their cars and into the shops. So by providing the sidewalks in our Old Town area and the other parts of Yucca Valley, it now makes it safer for people to get out, and it encourages them to go from shop to shop on these sidewalks. And that should help small business as well, make it safer for our community and the visitors alike.
Thank you. Mr. Dennison.
Well, it's no surprise that since 1981 I've been a firefighter, so public safety is kind of the cornerstone of what I do. But I've also worked through and am a team member. I was for 10 years. I just stepped down last year on a federal incident management team. So I traveled all over the country mitigating large incidents, whether they were fires or other disasters. That was quite a privilege, and it helped me to understand the mechanics of working with large, complex incidents. Sometimes they would have thousands of people and involve millions of dollars. Another thing is that I've been an administrative level position in the fire department for quite some time, involved in writing grants, annual reports, statistical analysis. My hobby is computer programming, computer networking. I'm also involved, I just love puzzles. So the things about trying to solve problems and looking at them and all of those things is to try and plan ahead and foresee things that could potentially be a detriment to the community. What I want to do is come in and look at those things, plan ahead, make the right moves. It's a big ship, it's going to turn slow, stop the knee-jerk reactions of some of the things that we're involved with at times, and plan for the future. Thank you.
Mr. Watson.
Yes, I've owned several businesses in my lifetime. I've worked for 55 years before I retired. I'm in my 70s. I've owned restaurants, I've owned nightclubs, 17 employees is the most employees I've ever employed at one time. I've owned 4 different car dealerships. I've owned several restaurants, furniture stores. I was a roofer. I've had all types of different jobs where I've either been a supervisor or been supervised. I realized that in this community, I think we have 1,132 licensed businesses. Out of those, I don't know how many of the previous not candidates, but the councilmen have actually been around to those. I think the involvement with the council, with the citizens that have businesses here would enhance the businesses. We'd find out, get our pulse on what it is that they actually need and what we could provide for them as a council person. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Drawes.
Ages ago, I was manager of Kentucky Fried Chicken for 3 years. After that, I worked as a drafter for about 15 years. I still am a drafter on the side in the summer when I'm out of high school. And so I maintain that business on my own, but that's not the same as a business that's on the highway or in town, I realize that. But I do have experience at Yucca Valley High School and Copper Mountain College setting students up with internships and job shadowing. I've probably interned job shadowed over 1,000 students in the years I've been doing it, and I've interned a couple hundred students at the high school, and we're doing that now at the college. So I have a lot of contact with businesses. I teach work experience education, and I see what they're going through, so I am exposed to it.
Thank you. Mr. McHenry.
Well, as far as for business experience, well, my wife and I, we've owned have operated a small in-home business for probably about 24 years now. And it doesn't make a whole lot of money for us because it's a work of love rather than a work of money. I've served on as a treasurer for the Friends of Yucca Valley Library, where I had to work out the finances, file the tax paperwork, and keep the budget going forward on that. I currently serve as the vice president of the Joshua Tree National Park Association, which owns and operates the Joshua Tree Visitor Center And we also operate the visitor center at Oasis Visitor Center along with Cottonwood and Black Rock, which serves several hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales. I help oversee the budget for that, oversee the employees' performances for that with the assistance of our executive director. Thank you.
Mr. Cohen.
My business experience goes back 40 years, starting with during the Vietnam War. I was negotiating with the Thais, the Laotians, and the Cambodians on doing base upgrades to some of our Air Force bases out there for both the CIA and the Air Force. My acquisition experience continued in the Air Force. I was given bigger projects. I did a lot of negotiation for major airplane buys, and I finally migrated to satellite programs, unmanned satellite programs. When I worked at Boeing, I did most of the spec writing as well as the negotiating for the software programs. And finally, when I retired there, I was the program manager for the Joint Tactical Radio System, which was a $2 billion program for the Army. Thank you.
Okay. How about another round of applause for the candidates? And the next question will be started with number 4. And the question is, how do you understand and define the role of a council person?
One of the most important jobs that a council person has to do, excuse me, I'll do it this way, is listen. Listen to the people. One of the most important things they have to do is listen. Listen to the people. So what I'm proposing is that we have town hall meetings. Town hall meetings where we actually have a communication. Not you have 3 minutes and then you get a blank stare, but we have a real communication and we understand what the issues are as presented by the people and the town of Yucca Valley. Thank you.
Ms. Herbell.
Well, of course, it is very important for the town council to listen to the people, because it is the people that vote the town council into their positions. So our positions should represent the people. It is very important, and it is the fiscal responsibility, the fiduciary responsibility of the town council to go over the budget line by line and justify all expenditures. The budget is one of the most important things because it pays for everything here in town. And we all contribute, whether it be in property taxes or sales taxes, and the people should have a voice in how they want their money spent. It is also the responsibility of the council to supervise the town manager and make sure that he is executing policy from the... Thank you.
Mr. Leone.
Well, as an elected council member for the town of Yucca Valley, it's part of representative government. And as an elected official, your duties, your primary duties, is to listen to the general public and to have open meetings and hear some of the ideas, some of the problems that they're facing, and bring them forward in a discussion among the council people so that we can bring a consensus to the town manager. The town manager is supposed to be listening to the elected officials that are elected to represent the people. I know there are some people that feel that Yucca Valley needs districts or representative districts so that each of the areas are somewhat more taken by an individual council member, but that may not be necessary in Yucca Valley because I believe as a community, each of the council people should be listening to all the people of Yucca Valley, regardless of where they live or what resident they're in, and be a true representative as they should be in local government, which should be the most effective type of government that we have.
Mrs. Simmons.
As a town council person, the town council person's job is to set policy so that the town manager can carry out those duties and pass that along to staff for the residents of Yucca Valley. I don't feel that everyone has been listened to the last few years, but I'm a very objective person. A town council person's position should be objective and listening to everything. They should be listening to the staff, listening to the town manager, and listening to the public, and take all of that into consideration before making any decision. I listen to all sides of everything. When I shop for something, it drives my husband batty because I research it like crazy. But I end up making good decisions because of that, and I like to do research.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Abel.
I think the importance of being a good town council member is understanding that you are a servant. You are a servant of the community. And how do you best serve the community? That's by asking very tough questions, by studying the issues. I'm very proud of my record in doing that. Also, obviously, it is listening to our public and to those that these decisions affect. So service to others is what it's all about. It's not about the position. It's not about playing it safe politically. Every decision I've made has been based upon what I felt was best for the community in general, and not trying to be political or worrying about re-election. Too many times politicians kick the can down the road, and we find ourselves in some situations here in our own community because of people playing it safe in politics and avoiding the tough issues. So I think service to others is most important for a good town council member, listening to the community and then being able to make a tough decision, even if it is not always popular with a small group of people or a special interest group. Thank you.
Mr. Dennison.
Well, I'll start off by saying from the founders of this community, when I moved here in 1976, I've never felt like any door, and even when the place incorporated, was locked from me going in there and becoming involved. The council and this community has always been open. I think a council member's responsibility is to make sure that there's public safety in place, to make sure that the infrastructure is in place for the community to thrive, and try and provide a sense of well-being for the people within this community. And that's our job. The job up here is to make sure those things are in place and ensured so they don't have to be concerned about those issues. The rest of it comes in from listening to the people within the community to make sure that we can provide the services that they enjoy, whether it's the arts, the museum, or whatever activity it is, more tennis, off-road recreation. We need to go ahead and work on those issues and make sure they can be accomplished for the people within the community. If we do that, that starts to drive a love for the community, and it's going to start to drive the tourism within the community, and then we'll have popular events like we've had before, like the Grub Steaks Days, and they should be sensational. So that's my view on it. Thank you.
Mr. Watson.
Yes, I believe that a councilman should be involved with the constituents in such a way that, we all go out and shop every day, we talk to people, but a councilman should do that constantly. He should know whether or not the people are in favor of one particular item or not. There's usually a hot topic item that pops up once in a while. He should already have his pulse on that and have somewhat of an idea of what the public itself is looking towards. And I believe in public safety. I think that one thing this community needs is a hospital, a community hospital. We have 5-10 minute delays sometimes, somebody getting to the hospital, and public safety is an important thing, and it saves lives. And we got like 25,000 people here, and Joshua Tree, I think, is 8,000. We really need to look into having a hospital in the community. We can drive an income from it too, and that's it. Thank you.
Mr. Droz.
Town council members, I think it's really important for them to listen to the public. That's probably number one. But I think probably the biggest challenge as a town council member is deciphering between the majority of the people and the loudest people. And that's probably the hardest thing to decipher that you have to learn to do. And I've seen that on the Planning Commission, my 3 years on the Planning Commission. And sometimes you have to step outside your circle of friends and what they're telling you, and you have to realize that there are other people in the community that have ideas. And you can't dig your heels in so bad that you're not willing to change your mind, or even if you feel a certain way, change your vote because you realize most people want something else. So, that's all. Thank you.
Mr. McHenry.
Well, I think the main role of the council person is to make themselves available to the public and listen to the public and hear what the public really wants them to do on their job. Now, the responsibilities are a little bit different than the roles. They're responsible for maintaining a good budget to ensure public safety. and infrastructure. And by listening to the people to find out what they want, you can determine your level of public safety, whether it's adequate, if the number of roads you're working on or the infrastructure you're working with is adequate to suit the public. You need to be available 24/7. And you remember why you were elected in the first place. You have to be able to listen to people and make decisions based upon what is right for the town and not necessarily right for you personally. Because there may be a subject comes up you don't personally agree with, but if it's right for the town, you've got to be able to put your own feelings aside.
Thank you. How about another nice round of applause for everyone? The next question is going to be a lively one, and we'll start it off with number 8. What is your stance on medical marijuana? Do you favor lifting the current town prohibition on all dispensaries in Yucca Valley?
All right, the medical marijuana issue. Oh, okay. All right, the medical marijuana issue is one that's up for debate going on presently. I'm in favor of letting the community make a decision on that particular topic. The expiration happened with our previous medical marijuana facility, and it was not renewed, basically because there were several concerns. Number one, it was a monopoly. There were no other businesses in the area. There was no one else available to provide the service, so the person had a particular monopoly. It's not approved by the Drug and Administration, Food and Drug Administration, and the other concern was as far as where the location should be. So the people that are working on the current proposal are out gathering signatures and probably will be coming back to our town council and move on to the voters. So we'll allow the voters of Yucca Valley to make a decision on whether they would like that in our community or not.
Mr. Dennison.
As far as medical marijuana goes, I know that there are proven benefits for it, but I also understand that there are federal and state laws against it. We're stuck in the middle of this thing, and it's going to be a community as far as driving it. If we do something like that in the community, it's what they see that is best for them, then they're going to have to use due diligence and control it. I don't believe at this time, even though there's issues in Washington and Colorado, they're allowing it to just be widely used without any constraints. I think we owe it to our youth within the community to make sure that we still foster them and raise them and let them grow up with an understanding of the implications of that. Any type that you have anything that impairs your judgment, you know it can change your direction in life. I'm with that, with whether it's alcohol or medical marijuana. It needs to be regulated within the community, and it needs to be controlled. It needs to be distributed and know where everything is. There's a lot of overhead in something like that, and that would be a reason for sometimes that they talk about the taxation of it. But I do not feel that taxation of medical marijuana is something you use for the cornerstone of your budget. It is not sustainable. It will change over time, and it's not a good marker. Thank you.
Mr. Watson.
I don't have a stand on it. Usually I sit when I use it. I've used marijuana off and on for probably 52 years since I got out of the service, self-medication, so on. When I was a young man, I did it like most young people do probably today. They use it to get high and so on down the line. But, you know, I'm an old fart now in my 70s, so I pretty much, when I do use it, it's either the oil or something along those lines that I use for pain and my other illnesses that are doctor approved. But I think what a person does in their own home when it comes to alcohol, when it comes to marijuana, is their own business. It's as long as you do things responsibly. You know, I've never had a ticket. I've never had a problem. I'm a recovering alcoholic. In my 28th year, drank self-medicated for 25 when I got out of the service. You know, it's what you do with your lives. It's not what the law says per se, and it's really not a drug. It's an herb. And if they had gotten rid of some of those crazy commercials they had years ago showing people going wacko smoking marijuana, you know, and it doesn't belong with children or any irresponsible people. And that's pretty much it for me.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
All right, having had cancer myself, based on my history, I generally support it based pending a lot of things. You know, it matters on location, whether it's legal. There's a lot of issues involved with it. But generally, I support it. Being a cancer survivor, I don't like smoking things, so I've never smoked it. But they gave me pills, actually. And I took the pills, and that was the only thing that helped my nausea. So I realized that there are people out there, I realize people abuse it, but there are people out there that really need it. And I think it's really important to deal with that. And I think it's important to not make a bigger political issue out of this than it really is, because we could use a dispensary, and if it happens, that would be great. But there are services that deliver it right to your door. So it's not as big as an issue as some people are making it. It's, you know, it's already available out there, and it's delivered to your door.
Thank you. Mr. McHenry.
Well, as far as medical marijuana use, it's a tough subject, and like several other people said, there are federal laws against it. Now, I know when my wife, years ago, when she had her cancer, her doctor recommended it. He told her, it's illegal. Well, you know it is, but if you can find some, use it. And I feel that if the referendum goes through and the voters vote for it and say it's a good thing to do, the town has to make sure the location is proper for it. But it's pretty much up to the voters of the town, because I know with the medical marijuana, it's a tough issue. If the majority of people don't want it, it won't be a good thing to put it in. But myself personally, I think it's something worth looking into and something the town might have to go into in the future.
Thank you. Mr. Cohen.
I don't think there's any question about it. There's some proven medical benefits to marijuana. I am absolutely for medicinal marijuana. And I urge everyone to look at the petition, read the 9 pages, and understand the proposed law that they're proposing. It talks about where to do it. It talks about how to do it. It talks about the rules of dispensaries. If the state has authorized it, for somebody to say that the state hasn't authorized it is wrong. The state has authorized it, or else we couldn't even do it. The 3+ years that CAMS operated, there wasn't a single incident, not one incident. Say that about alcohol. Say that about tobacco. I mean, the young kids today can get their hands on alcohol and tobacco, but they can't go to a medicinal marijuana dispensary and get marijuana. They're only going to get it from their parents, so their parents are responsible for that. Thank you.
Mrs. Herbel.
We're talking about compassionate use. I myself have never smoked marijuana. I've never used an illegal drug, ever. But there are people that feel that they need it. And the people of California voted for compassionate use. I think it is very good that there is an initiative out there that hopefully will get enough signatures, and it will go before the people of Yucca Valley and settle this issue. I think it's very important for the people to weigh in. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Leone.
Yes, medical marijuana, that's what we're talking about. And I had the personal experience, as some of the other people here on the platform. I lost a 21-year-old son with a malignant brain tumor when he, in the last 3 months of his life, he was given tablets of marijuana that eased the pain. The cancer had spread to his spine and was very painful. So having had that personal experience, I believe in the compassionate part of medical marijuana. Now in the 30+ years I've been in law enforcement, 5 years in the New York City Police Department, and 25 years on the LA Police Department before my retirement. As a police officer, we dealt with marijuana on a different scale, but we're talking about medical compassionate use for medical reasons.
Thank you. Mr. Simmons.
Yes, I believe that medical marijuana should be allowed in this town. Kids cannot just walk into a dispensary. First of all, they have to prove that they are 18. They have to actually schedule an appointment with a doctor. They have to go through a few things. However, I don't think that an 18-year-old should walk in and say, my pinky hurts, and just because they want to get high. It should be for medicinal, compassionate use, like Lori and Ron said. I believe that the state needs to tighten up their regulations on that so that it's truly medicinal. And I think that it would be a lot easier to control, especially if we regulated it here to benefit this town's resources.
Okay, thank you. How about another round of applause for the candidates? And number 7 will get the next question. The next question is a toughie, even for me to read it. So we're going to go slow. The town has identified wastewater treatment as its #1 priority. Do you agree? If not, why not? If you do agree, would you propose the town contribute, along with contributions from the state, the water district, and property owners, to help bring wastewater treatment to Yucca Valley?
First of all, as far as the wastewater treatment plant, I don't know if sewers per se are needed. There are alternatives out there that I'm currently looking at myself. I haven't made a decision yet on that. But if we do end up going with a sewer, and we probably will, I think that the town should participate in helping bring down those costs for the residents, because we don't need a ghost town. We don't need a bunch of empty houses and foreclosures all over again.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Abel, would you like me to repeat it? It's kind of complex.
Yes, one more time, please.
The town has identified wastewater treatment as its #1 priority. Do you agree? If not, why not? If so, what would you propose the town contribute, along with contributions from the state, water district, and property owners, to help bring wastewater treatment to Yucca Valley?
All right, first of all, it is a major concern and major part of our community. It is a big issue, but it cannot stand alone. It's not the only issue. For the town of Yucca Valley, our budget is also a huge issue. Maintaining that balanced budget, maintaining our services is another issue. So we just went through one of the toughest recessions that, in recent memory, and I was on the town council during that time. And we had to make some very tough decisions. And with those tough decisions, we were able to ride out that recession. We didn't lay anyone off. Well, we had adjustments in our staff, but we didn't have to lay off police officers on the roads and things like that. The sewer project is vastly important. And I am all in supporting the wastewater treatment plant going forward, with the town participating and helping. We did try to put an initiative out there to help with the project, but the voters voted that down. So I am in partnership with the water district, how we can help them bring the most affordable water, as well as taking care of our sewer issue that's been mandated to us. So it is a very important issue that I plan on working on.
Thank you. Mr. Dennison.
Yes. That's to answer your question, but since I have a minute left, yes, the town should be involved in it, absolutely. I recall the time when Yucca Valley started depleting its water sources and the state came in and didn't threaten. They said they were going to shut the town down. There really wasn't any option for us. We were going to run out of water in Yucca Valley. We brought the water in. We did a $63 million bond. We made it happen. It happened ahead of schedule, happened under budget. And that helped to expand the water district and improve the rest of the infrastructure. We cannot continue to bring water into this basin and continue to use it and think that it's not going anywhere. It's not magically disappearing. It's getting used, and it's starting to seep down. And as we bring water in, the water levels are trying to rise. We could start buying more water and storing more water, but we can't. We can't get it at good dollar times because the wastewater is starting to hit the groundwater, and we have to get this project on track. We have to finish it up to survive and to make this community thrive, and so it can continue and see tomorrow for our children and the tourists and everything else we're talking about in here. Sewers are going to happen.
Thank you. Mr. Watson.
Those I've spoken to in the community, more of them are in favor of the waste treatment program than they are the sewers. They're quite adamant about the sewers. A lot of folks figure they'll get the sewer, but they won't get any use out of it for where they live at, and they'll get the tax dollars on top of it. We need to protect the groundwater. If we continue to turn around and put toxic type chemicals and water and stuff into the reserve water, like Mr. Dennison said, we're not going to have a town. We need to do what's best. And if it is broke, we need to fix it. If it isn't broke, if it turns out for some reason they can find some other solution to it, then we turn around and take that alternate approach to it.
Thank you. Mr. Draws.
Yes, the sewer is this town's #1 issue. Unfortunately, I think the time has passed that the town can do much except support the water district. There needs to be a unification between the town and the water district that we totally support the wastewater treatment plant. And that's really all we can do. Measure U, which Mr. Abel talked about, which was the tax measure for roads and the sewer system, failed. And that was the town's attempt to try and help with the sewer system, which would have lowered the cost significantly. And it would have also helped with Yucca Valley roads. But it did not pass. The can's been kicked down the road, and I feel really bad for the residents that have to pay these exorbitant fees. But it's necessary, and it has to be done. So we have to move ahead, and we have to support the water district.
Thank you. Mr. McHenry.
Well, the wastewater plant's coming. And the town council, as representatives of the town, have to work with the water district to make it possible to have it done. I have a family member, or my wife, I should say, has a family member, works for the Department of Water Resources in Northern California. He's seen the reports. And people are saying, no, it doesn't have to be done, doesn't have to be done. But it does, and the water district, like I said, they're the main drivers for that. The town has to partner with them and try to find ways to make it easier for the job to get done, and see if they can find ways to maybe help contribute to help lower the cost for the wastewater project. But it is important, and it needs to be done, and it needs to be done, and it needs to be done soon.
Thank you. Mr. Cohen.
So, let's talk about what the real issue is. The real issue is not wastewater treatment. Wastewater treatment is the solution. The real issue is nitrates, and the nitrates that go into the water. So what can we do in the town council to reduce that? Well, heck, one of the things we could do is we could go ahead and look at the septic tanks just like you do when you trade your property and say, are the septic tanks at least working partially? Why aren't we doing that? We can still do it. If the sewer treatment plant goes in 2022 for phase 3, well, there's a lot of people in phase 3. Maybe they haven't emptied their septic tank in years. I know I empty mine every 2 to 3 years, and I have somebody come out and inspect it to make sure it's still working. How many town residents really do that? Thank you.
Ms. Herbell.
In order to move the town of Yucca Valley forward, we need a sewer. The Colorado River Water Quality Control Board has placed a prohibition on our septic tanks in phase 1 in May of 2016. As far as Measure U was a general fund tax. What if Measure U would have been a specific tax to go directly to the sewer, I totally believe that it would have passed. And we may want to look at something like that in the future. The cost of the sewer is unbelievable. Phase 1 is $146 million. Nobody should lose their home. Nobody should lose their business over this. And we need to come together as a community with the High Desert Water District and the Town Council and solve this high cost and move Yucca Valley forward with the sewer. We cannot grow without it. We cannot prosper without it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Leone.
Being a desert community, water is essential. The entire state of California right now is suffering a drought. We're not the only community that are suffering with our particular nitrates. There are 11 communities right now, municipalities that are without water because their local streams have dried. I think the wastewater project is a necessity here in the basin, along with the pipeline when we had some more water come into our aquifers over the 25-year period that was supported by the people. I think it's very necessary in the desert that we make any usage of reclamated water in our wastewater project, and I am totally in support of that project. Thank you.
Thank you. How about another round of applause for everyone? For everyone's information, the first 3 questions were provided by the Chamber Board. The next 3 questions were emailed to the Chamber. And the next set of questions, people as they arrived at this event put them in a hopper. So since I've been kind of picking them, I'm going to ask somebody else to pick one, and I'm going to get the youngest gal in the room to pick the first question. Boy, did Audrey pick one. And my arms aren't long enough, so I'm going to wade through it. Although it would not be easy or politically safe, would you support a 0.5% sales tax for...
For what? You want me to hold it for you?
Infrastructure, not administration.
For infrastructure and not administration. Got it. And the selection is number 6.
Oh. Okay.
You want me to repeat it again, Bob?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead?
I'll try. Although it would not be easy or politically safe to respond to the question, would you support a 0.5% sales tax for infrastructure and not administration?
Well, we have an infrastructure failure here in town as far as the amount of money that we can donate for our infrastructure. However, I believe that any kind of tax that we would put in at this point, and I understand not for running the town itself, I believe that a 0.5% tax should go more to a specific problem like our water issue, our sewer system, or our wastewater, to assist the people. So I know there's priorities that have to take place, but we got the elephant in the front yard right now, and we have to deal with that. And infrastructure is important. As long as the economy starts to improve and maybe the sales tax and our property tax increase, maybe we could look forward to that problem. But I am not in direct support of a 0.5% sales tax at this point for that specific reason.
Thank you. Mrs. Simmons.
I am in support of a 0.5% sales tax, provided that it is earmarked just for the sewer, because that is the one thing that this community is really hurting from. And it is because, like Lori said, it's $147 million for just phase 1. I'm in phase 1, and it is going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot of people in phase 1, and additionally phase 2 and 3. I think we need to do something as far as that goes. So yes, I do support that 0.5% sales tax.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Abel.
Yes, since we incorporated in 1991, we inherited a very poor county plan. And we've been trying to catch up ever since. A lot of our major roads, if you've been here as long as I have, would go for so many miles and then drop off for a 1/4 mile back to dirt and then back to pavement. We had to work on combining or putting those roads together. So we're about $14 million behind in backlog projects for infrastructure. But as far as the question, the 0.5-cent sales tax, I think it's premature to even speculate on whether that would go forward or not at this time, because we have other things that the voters are looking at. We're looking at the property assessment. We need to allow our water district the opportunity to get this project going without any kind of interference with any kind of a sales tax measure. So as our other council member mentioned, our economy is improving. Our sales taxes are going up. Our property taxes are also going up. We've made some very important adjustments to our budget. So I think at this time it would be premature to speculate on doing a sales tax initiative.
Thank you. Mr. Dennison.
I'm very much a call and response kind of person. I'd have to get some information on it to find out what the benefits and where we stand currently with the budget. But when you look at the numbers that we're talking about, and Merle had just mentioned about 14 million, I believe he's very conservative. I also believe that with $150 million with the sewer system and a partnership, that those things can kind of be accomplished. But we have to identify where the money's going to go. We have to earmark it correctly. There are liabilities in this community because as the infrastructure is falling apart, we're all starting to feel the effects of it. If it shows that we could benefit and it would what the community wants, I love a 0.5% sales tax. The thing about sales tax is it helps to bring in money from outside the area. Others are contributing as they spend the $54 million that someone talked about outside the area through tourism. We get a percentage of that. As people drive from Joshua Tree, Morongo Valley, Landers, and everywhere else within the town of Yucca Valley, we benefit from that. It doesn't just come out of our pocket. If we tried to absorb that on our own, everybody would be paying 2 cents or 3 cents for sales tax. So think about distribution, spreading it out, and getting a benefit from it if it's needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Watson.
Yeah, the 0.5% sales tax, if it was designated for a particular purpose, it would benefit the community, and it really would help, and especially if it was on a temporary basis. In other words, it had a limit to it, not just one that just keeps adding to the sales tax and it keeps increasing. I'd be in favor of, it would have to be a particular project that it would actually benefit by having that done. And by a sales tax, it diversifies. It comes in through all different measures, through tourists, through people that come up for weekends, whatever the case may be, Joshua Tree, and it helps divide it where it isn't a full burden on the community itself. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Droz.
Many entities around the state, school districts, towns, you know, they're all having problems, and I think, in my opinion, it goes back to the state of California. They're not spending our money wisely, thus they're giving less money to the schools and the entities that really need it. 20 years ago, they used to give a higher percentage, and they don't anymore. So I do support a sales tax. I think it would help the community. We were talking about being business friendly. Well, having nice infrastructure in the town, that would draw people here. That's exactly what we want. But we would not want it at the, like somebody said earlier, we don't want to do it at the same time as the sewer assessment, because the sewer assessment is going to be rough to pass, and of course you don't want 2 sales tax measures on the boards. But I think the school district had one a few years back, and now you see like the new building at Yucca Valley High School thanks to that. So sales tax measures do help.
Mr. McHenry.
Well, for one, like I said, it all depends on the timing of the initiative if it came forward. Generally speaking, I would be in favor if the monies were earmarked. If it's just to say 0.5%, promise to trust us to do the money where you want it to go, no, I wouldn't. But if it's earmarked for infrastructure, whether it be the sewer, roads, flood control, or whatever, I'd generally be in favor of it, but it'd also have to have a time restriction on it. I would not want an open-ended tax initiative floating over our heads saying this project's been paid for 5 years, we're still drawing taxes on it 20 years from now.
Thank you. Mr. Cohen.
If I understand the question correctly, it's dealing with a 0.5% sales tax strictly for the infrastructure and not for administration.
Correct.
Given that, I think there's better things we can do with our money. First of all, there needs to be a time limit. The infrastructure itself, if the amount of money we're going to pull in is equal to the amount you're going to spend every year, that's great. But if you're going to do an infrastructure tax of 0.5% and expect to get $30 million that you're going to spend in 1 year, and oh, by the way, the roads need replaced in 5 years, well, there's something wrong with that. The second part is we should probably think about increasing what's called the TOT tax, the transit occupancy tax. That's the tax we put on hotels. And our tax is the lowest, one of the lowest in San Bernardino County at 7%. If you look at 29 Palms, they pull in over $1 million a year just from that TOT tax. And their TOT tax, if I remember correctly, is 10%. So that's what we should be looking at. Thank you.
Ms. Herbell.
I would certainly support a 0.5% sales tax for if it was specifically for the sewer. The sewer is the greatest challenge that Yucca Valley's ever had. The High Desert Water District is working with the state revolving fund to secure a loan in the amount of phase one, which is $146 million. They're trying to get it for a very low interest rate or no interest rate, which we thank them for very, very much. According to town documents from the previous measure that was put before the people, 0.5% sales tax would create $80 million over 30 years. A full percent sales tax would create $160 million over 30 years. And the reason I say 30 years is because that is the life of the loan for the High Desert Water District. So this is the #1 priority, and we don't want anyone left behind. Thank you.
Okay, how about another round of applause? Okay, number 9. Where do you stand with regard to assessing impact fees to commercial developers?
That's kind of a hot topic around here because it goes back and forth with large developments and talking about asking them to either waive or contribute during the planning phase. I don't believe the concession should be made for businesses and to transfer taxes and push them at the back of their service life. It's too hard to figure out what the business model is and how productive it's going to be for the community. I don't think it's fairly distributed amongst all different businesses. If the impact fees are equal and on an equal scale based on the type of project it is, then I agree with it. But I don't think it's correct to exclude and include different businesses at different rates because of who they are or where they came from. Some of the larger projects that are enticed into the community, they're given concessions for their development, but at the end of the day, they probably would have come into the community anyway, and then we're right back where we are, where we're asking about a 0.5 cent sales tax to the community because we were giving them concessions during their development. I'm against.
Thank you. Mr. Watson.
Well, whether you're a mom and pop store somewhere or you're Walmart, you should both all pay equally. I don't think that you should turn around and give a concession to anybody because they have high pockets or somebody that doesn't have many. That's pretty much it for me.
Thank you. Mr. Droz.
I pretty much feel the same, whether it's the sign ordinance in town, when you have a certain standard for people or for the town or for the businesses, it needs to apply equally across the board. And the same thing with impact fees. I think that it should be the same for everybody, and yes, I'm in favor of them.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McHenry.
As far as collecting development fees, if you're coming into town, you're a new business coming into town, and you're going to have an impact on the town, you should pay for yourself. Like I said, it shouldn't be, oh, we're a multi-billion-dollar corporation, or like everybody else said, a mom and pop that just wants to make a living and open up a business. But the new development should be paying for itself through impact fees.
Thank you. Mr. Cohen.
Impact fees are isolated to those businesses that are creating new buildings. If somebody comes in and they want to use an existing building, for example, the old Rite Aid building, there is no impact fees. So there's an incentive to go ahead and use some of the buildings that we currently have that are vacant. Now, if you have a new developer and he brings in, for example, Walmart, well, there had to be a new street, there had to be lights in there, and that's what the impact fees are supposed to be paying. So I am for the impact fees.
Thank you. Ms. Herbel.
Impact fees provide the infrastructure for our town, for the people, and for our town to grow. Right now, it is difficult because of this economy to impose the full impact fees that should be in place. What I would propose is to have a goal of what the impact fees should ultimately be, and as we move forward, to phase them in on a slow basis. It is important. If we think about the sewer, that was neglected. Back in 1974, the Colorado River Water Quality Control Board came in and told Yucca Valley that it needed a sewer. In 1991, the town of Yucca Valley said in the general plan we need a sewer. And it has been a neglected infrastructure, and now we're just faced with a cost that is pretty much out of sight. So impact fees are important, but we need to phase them in.
Thank you. Mr. Leone.
Well, impact fees are exactly what they are. They're impacts to the community when a large business like Walmart comes in and impacts a lot of our businesses, small businesses, and creates large trucks coming in with deliveries. For example, Walmart paid for the light down by the water company, and a light runs $600,000, so it's not an inexpensive thing. But it's correct. Mr. Cohn had said it correctly. It's generally the building of new square footages, and it's based on the size of the building and the impact it would have on the community. So I think we have a very just, and we've gone over that many times over the many years I've been on the council with impact fees, and we've adjusted them so that I believe they're reasonable.
Thank you. Mrs. Simmons.
Impact fees are what prevent businesses from overbuilding. If we assess higher impact fees to those who want to build versus those who are going to start their business or open up a store inside of an existing building, I think there should be a difference there. I believe that with the existing building, they should be waived. However, if someone's going to go tear up land and build a great big shopping mall or strip mall, I think they should be assessed fair impact fees. Right now, I think they're pretty low. I think they should be raised because this town has just been handing some of those impact fees right back to the developers, and I still don't understand why that was handed back. I mean, $750,000 to Walmart. So I think we need to raise them just a teeny bit.
Thank you. Mr. Abel.
Yeah, it's funny to hear some people talk about impact fees and in favor of them now. When I came on the town council, previous councils had eliminated the development impact fee. And that was one of the things that I thought was not a good thing. Walmart, Home Depot, places like that, they don't look at our development impact fee and decide whether they're going to build or not. They look at the potential sales. And so our impact fee is not going to keep a big business from coming here. What happened was previous councils wanted to encourage business to come, so they eliminated the impact fee. I spearheaded a 3-2 vote in having that impact fee placed back in and making it fair. So a smaller building like a mom and pop or a smaller facility that's built has a lower impact fee than a larger scale operation. And it is only fair for them to pay their fair way. If they're coming into our community and taking our money, they need to pay their way, and we have an impact upon us when they build those big stores. So there was no money given back to Walmart. Any money given to Walmart was credited to them because of all the development they did around the facilities, the widening of the street, the curbs, the gutters, the sidewalks, the lights. There was no concession given back to them at all.
Thank you. How about another round of applause on this question? And of course, everyone knows who the last person is, number one.
Number one's last. Okay.
That's correct. In your opinion, how important is working collaboratively with other council members?
It's imperative that the council members work together. You know, I don't think the ones here on the board right now are enemies. I think we're just competitors, and I think when you're on the city council, you need to turn around and have the same objectives, and that's doing the things that are beneficial to the community and to the citizens of this community. That's what your job is when you get elected to this council, is to turn around and make sure that you apply yourself in such a way that you're not a roadblock, but you're an avenue that other people can pass through. You're not so objective with your own steadfast feelings about anything that you can't compromise. Compromise is how we get along in this country. That's what founded this country, was compromise. The British don't think so, but anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dros.
Getting along with your fellow council members is ultimately very important. I've been talking a lot lately with people about compromise, and I think compromise has kind of gotten a bad rap lately. I think people, look negatively upon it, but it's not. Compromise is what you have to do to achieve something. I don't know anybody in life. Has anybody out there that is married? Have you never not compromised? I mean, it just doesn't happen. If you have a successful marriage, you have to compromise, and you have to do that with 5 people here, or 5 people on a council. It's just how you get things done, and you have to get along with people, and I think that's really important.
Thank you. Mr. McHenry.
Well, I think it's very important for the council members to be able to work together and to get along, because I've served on a lot of different boards with a lot of different personalities, and I found out there are a lot of times that I'm convinced I was right by listening to the people I work with and be able to talk about the issues that are being discussed, then listen to what they're saying and think, well, maybe I wasn't so right after all. And it's important that they get along for the sake of the town, the people in the town, because if they're in the audience watching the council up front, if they can read body language. If the council doesn't get along and you can't function together, it sets a bad image for the town. So I think it's very, very important for them to be able to work together and get along.
Thank you. Mr. Cohen.
Let's not confuse the council working together and respect for each other. People should have respect for each other in the council. People that are up here should respect each other and respect each other's opinions. That doesn't mean they're always going to vote the same. So some people confuse a 4-1 vote to be the council's not working together. They confuse a 5-0 vote to be the council is working together. That doesn't mean either one. A council working together means they show respect to each other. Thank you.
Ms. Rebell.
Well, democracy in action is having differing opinions and able to talk about them in a respectful way and coming to concessions and compromise. So it's very important that not everybody sings the same song, because we can come up with new ideas and new perspectives and understand how different people think. So it's very important to get along and respect each other, but it's important to have differing opinions and come to conclusions and ways to compromise. Thank you.
Mr. Leone.
Yes, it's about respect primarily as an elected official. There are different opinions. I have had many votes that are 5-0, and I've also had some votes that are 4-1. My purpose on being on the council is to bring some ideas that might be a little bit outside the box and in consideration of some of the people in town, like the business people and things of this type. I believe that respect is regarded, and as the mayor of a municipality, your job is to move things forward. So if a councilman makes a motion, there should be the decency, even if you don't agree with it, to second that motion so it can move forward for discussion. And when people don't second a motion coming forward, that means there's no discussion and they're just shutting down the process.
Thank you. Mrs. Simmons.
I agree with Bob. Any city council or town council, you have to respect each other. You have to be able to compromise or bend a little, not your core values, not the town's core values, not your constituents' core values. But in order to see progress moving forward, you have to do that to a certain degree. If a person just digs their heels in, they're always going to be that one vote that always loses against the other 4 council members, the 4-1 vote. I have been in business for 12 years. I can work with anybody. I have worked with many different types of people, different clients, different employees. I can work with anybody. and I will support this community to my very best.
Thank you. Mr. Abel.
In November, our community is going to be selecting people to be part of a team. And when you're selecting a team, you want people that have the team in mind. And it's okay to have differing opinions, but a team member needs to set aside ego. They need to set aside their political statements just for the sake of their special interest groups and do what is best for the community and work as a team member. My feeling is that I want to make decisions that are based upon informed questioning of our staff, by doing my homework, by listening to my other council members as well as members of the public. And so the town of Yucca Valley is putting together a team. And if you've seen anything in sports, you've seen teams fall apart because of ego, because of special interests. And again, it's about service to others. So council members do need to work together. We don't always have to have the same voice, but once a decision is made, if I'm on the wrong side or the losing side of a particular issue, our council made the decision, and now it's my job to support our council in the decision that we made.
Thank you. Mr. Dennison.
Well, I've been fortunate to work on a team. As Merle said, that's one of the most exciting things and why I love my career that I've done since 1981. It's great to work with others, make sure we all understand that we have the same objectives, make sure we train to meet those objectives. And we come up with different ways to handle those things. That's what's called progress. Progress is doing things differently, more efficiently, with doing more with the budget that you have on hand currently. We can become more efficient. And a lot of times those things come up on the council, we talk about it, we talk about what can we do for change and affect change, and not everybody has the same opinion, and that's fine. What we do is we work with each other and we try and at times compromise if we are tilted one way or the other, but the idea is to try and make a clear picture of what the objective is. And I've seen a lot of great councils. I've seen a lot of great cooperation with other boards within the community, whether it's the school, whether it's the sheriffs, whether it's the water district. And that kind of cooperation doesn't just end inside this room. It actually networks out within the community because we're all in this together.
Thank you. How about another round of applause for this question? Okay, the question is, and again, my arms aren't long enough, how much time away from your full-time work can you devote to the council? We'll start with person number 2.
All right. Well, being a teacher, of course, school gets out at 2 o'clock, but I do teach at Copper Mountain College, and that schedule varies all the time. I could teach sometimes 2 classes. Some semesters I'll teach 2 classes a week, and some semesters I'll teach 1 class a week. So it really varies. But I think I have a pretty flexible schedule, being off at 2 o'clock most days, and even with teaching 2 evenings a week, I still have a lot of time that I can devote to the town council.
Thank you. Mr. McHenry.
Well, how much time can I devote? Well, as much as I need to, because I'm fortunate for the job I work at. I have a supervisor who grants me time off when I need it. I have a good benefits package at work, so I get plenty of time off. Plus, I'm at a time in my career, if I decide I need more time off, I can take as much time as I want and retire. So as far as the time off, my full-time job will not interfere with me being on the town council.
Thank you. Mr. Cohen.
I retired from the Air Force back in 1990, so I have retirement income there. I retired from the Boeing Company in 2011. So I am fully retired and can spend full time doing whatever's necessary.
Thank you. Ms. Herbell.
Well, I retired from being a farmer in Fallbrook 11 years ago. I was a farmer for 17 years. And I came to Yucca Valley to serve. I decided that whatever community I came to, I wanted to serve. And I have the time and the willingness. When I was on the council previously from 2006 to 2010 as an elected council member, I served on the Mojave Desert Air Quality Management District, the Morongo Basin Regional Economic Development Consortium, the San Bernardino County Homeless Partnership, the Animal Care Joint Powers Authority, the Morongo Basin Transit Authority, the High Desert Water District 2+2 Committee, the Airport District 2+2 Committee, and the League of Cities Economic Development Policy Committee. I have the time, I have the will, and I have the passion to serve the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Leone.
Yeah, as a retired law enforcement officer, I've been retired 30 years now. I have my time to devote to the council in past the elections, and currently I'm a member and have been an 11-and-a-half-year member of the Morongo Basin Air Quality Management District in Victorville. That's 74 miles each way that I travel. I'm also on the Morongo Basin Transit Authority Board, which we meet once a month. And I am on the homeless committee that meets in San Bernardino for the homeless people. I was the alternate to Sandbag for Paul Cook for the 8 years that Paul Cook was on that, and I was the alternate to that. So there's many other positions besides just coming to the council meetings that you have to devote. When there's a League of California Cities, you have to take 3 or 4 days off to go to these league conferences. It's very important to find out what the state and what other municipalities are doing. So time is necessary for that.
Thank you. Mrs. Simmons.
Yes, my business is part-time. I usually work a split shift in the morning and then in the evening, so I have 4 to 6 hours available every day. So I can devote plenty of time. I already read all of the agenda packets for every meeting, and I come to all the meetings as well. So I believe that I can handle that. I can devote plenty of time to this.
Thank you. Mr. Abel.
Yes, one of the reasons I didn't run for town council earlier was because I was busy raising my own family and didn't have the time needed to commit to the position. But since my daughters are married and moved away and so forth, I do have a lot more time. And I've been able to devote a lot of time to the position of a town council member. Again, serving on several committees such as the Morongo Basin Transit Authority, a member of the Air Quality Management Board for a year or two. And then also I spend a lot of time working with a lot of nonprofit organizations helping to raise money. So a lot of my time is devoted to the community, serving others, and that's my priority. And so I have plenty of time to continue that service to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dennison.
Well, Merle took it right out of my mouth. My wife and I raised our children in this town, and they're growing up now. And all that time, and we spend a lot of time with our children, and I still try to, but they're far away. That's the time that I can commit to the town. I'm at the point in my career where I can retire at any time I like. I have plenty of hours to take time off to commit to this. I'm ready and prepared to be a council member for this community. I have the time, and I certainly am committed to doing this. It's something I've thought about a long time. I've been asked many times over the years. This just didn't pop into my head. 20 years ago, I started messing around with this idea. And year after year, people have asked me, and I kept waving them off. My family is the most important thing to me. That's the greatest investment I have. The next thing, of course, is my relationship with my wife and everyone else, my friends and family, and this community is in there too. This community raised my children, and I'm committed to see that continue on. I would love my children to come back and enjoy this beautiful place just as we have.
Thank you. Mr. Watson.
Yes, I'm retired 13 years. I've got lots of time, and my wife's willing to throw me out of the house every morning after 54 years. So I won't have any problem meeting everybody in town in the next 4 years if I'm selected. Huh, dear?
Thank you. How about another round of applause? Okay, all the questions that were submitted in the back of the room, the chamber is going to email them to all of the candidates. So the board wanted me to announce that. The next thing is, and we're about right on schedule, we're going to give you 2 minutes to provide some closing remarks.
Leslie, are you still here? Can I call you up, please?
Technical support.
Set it 1 minute.
You had your priority and
We'll give you a 30-second warning. How's that?
All right.
Caution light will come on in 30 seconds.
The wife gives me.
Buddy? Okay. First number is number 4.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Chamber. This was very well done, very professional, and I'm just excited. I really am. Thank you. I'm for developing a community-focused town that's not based on one particular group. To do that, we need to hold periodic town hall meetings to listen to the people. And I'll say that again, to listen to the people. We're in the 21st century now. There's many ways we can listen to the people. You realize we could put something on the website where people could actually blog, like the High Desert Star, and give us opinions. They could actually give us voting, if you will, although it wouldn't be official voting. We could really understand what the people are really for, instead of wondering when we come to a town council meeting, there's 35 people that just stood up and said they're against something. So does that mean the population is against something? Well, maybe yes, maybe no, you don't know. So there's a couple things we can do to listen to the people. Town hall is one, website, changing it. We need to establish new programs that invite youth involvement. When I was younger, we had youth programs where I could turn around and I could actually work in the town, I could work in other places, and I would get credit in high school for doing that. We should do that. We should be working with the school board to come up with ideas like that. It's called work experience credits at high school. We need to spend some time and reestablish the town infrastructure plan that's both reasonable and equitable. You know, you've already heard from one of the residents saying that they wanted a 0.5% sales tax just to cover infrastructure. Infrastructure needs to be fixed. And I think the town council came up with a way to do it, which is set aside a certain percentage before they start the budgeting, instead of making it a leftover at the end of the budgeting. We need to have people-friendly, business-wise environment, providing streamlined and uncomplicated methods for new businesses. Let me end with your vote for me is a voice for you. Thank you very much.
Ms. Herbell.
What I can promise the people of Yucca Valley is that I will bring my very best effort to the town, and I will listen to you. That's what I'm going to bring. I'd like to invite everybody to visit my website, laurieherbell.com, and I would like to ask for your vote. I will listen to the concerns of the people and individuals and the businesses. It's important to listen to the businesses. Local businesses, small businesses are the backbone of our community. I will encourage that growth. I want to encourage the council to examine the budget line by line. That's very important because it is the people's money, and it is the people's money that pays for all things that we use here in our town. I would like to look at restoring the High Desert Nature Museum to full operation. Right now it operates 3 days a week. It's budgeted this fiscal year at $193,000, and we only need about another $70,000 according to previous budgets to bring it completely back up and running. I would be honored to represent you on the council, and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Mr. Leone.
I again would like to thank the people for coming out this evening to review the 9 candidates. It's a great thing that we have 9 candidates running for 3 positions. We all bring a little bit different experience and talent to the council if we're elected, and I am appealing to you to vote again for me in November of this year. I just finished the 19-month term that Isaac Hageman had given up in 2012, and so I was appointed to this period of time this past March 5th of last year. Having gotten back into the council again, I do have a number of things that I'm working on. I want to bring some more safe speed limits within the town. As far as particularly on dirt roads, as a member of the Air Quality District, I'm moving something forward with the board's consent to actually have speeds lower than what's allowed in the vehicle code to keep the PM10 down. And I had the full support of the Air Quality Board unanimously supporting that effort with the California Vehicle Code. I have other issues that I would like to bring forward. I think it's very important that our Sheriff's Department that we have in town has the ability to do the work that they do as far as their professionalism is. But I think that there's somewhat of a little disconnect with some of the people in town, and I think that they're much too busy doing the 12-hour tour that they do, and we need more police in the town. We need more visibility of police so that someone will be able to go to a central location where the police department is and make a report to a desk officer on various things. And so there's other issues I would like to bring forward that I'm working on within the town. So I would appeal for your vote again so that I might continue serving the community I retired and love very dearly for another 4 years. Thank you much.
Mrs. Simmons.
Yes, I am rooted in this community. I own a home here and I love our desert. I have learned that I can work with anybody, and while I've been here, I've seen that I've seen so many changes in many councils since I moved here in 1981. A few points that I think is only fair for everybody to understand. Ron Cohen has only lived in this community for 3 years. And he sued the town of Yucca Valley during the recall that he started in his 2nd year of residency. I don't feel these are the actions of a person who wants to be accepted by a community, let alone lead it. And Merle Abel remember he cut those community programs such as the pool and the museum and concerts in the park, and they were restored. But first the community had to complain and become very angry about it. And things like that concern me. I will not sue the town. I will not ask for a raise. I will not exceed the budget or cut community programs. What I will do is listen to every voice and be objective in my decision making to benefit our community as a whole. I will support small businesses, and I will be a dedicated leader who understands what it means to serve the residents of Yucca Valley. I will offer my email to all residents in case anyone needs to contact me, and I will be there for this community. I will work hard to find solutions to make Yucca Valley a better place to live. If you want a person to lead this town in an effective manner by encouraging honesty, transparency, accountability, and common sense, please vote for me on November 4th, Susan Simmons. You can also reach me at votesusansimmons.com. Thank you.
Mr. Abel.
Well, thank you, Yucca Valley Chamber, for hosting tonight. For all of those in attendance, those watching at home, thank you for being here. The Town Council needs informed and decisive leadership as we go forward in the next few years. I'm always learning, and I've learned and gained a lot of knowledge through all my 20 years of volunteering on our Planning Commission, on our Parks and Recreation Commission, and also on our Traffic Commission. I've learned to listen to the people of the community. I've learned through hands-on experience and the requirements that it takes to run a very complex local government. I favor common sense solutions that serve the best interest of the community as a whole. I'm a team player, and like I said, I'm not a yes man. I don't make political decisions based upon elections. I make decisions based upon what is best for the community. In the years ahead, we have some significant challenges, but I'm here to tell you that I will represent the town of Yucca Valley. We've gone through a very, very tight budget and through very many years of losing a lot of revenue because of our recession. I'm proud to say that we've kept our fire and police safety as a #1 priority. We've continued to maintain the roads as best as we can. We have saved our town programs. We have saved our pool. We have saved our community gathering places. I think running a town of this size is not brick and mortar. It is people as well as brick and mortar. And so we need to continue to have those gathering places for people to come together and enjoy our community. In closing, I'd like to say Yucca Valley has been a great place to live and to raise our family. I owe much of my life's happiness to this community, and that's the reason I'm honored to serve it, and that's also the reason I wanted to continue to serve. This November, you will get 3 votes. The 3 votes that you cast, I am hoping and I'm asking that you would consider me as one of those votes. I thank you for your consideration and ask for your vote on November 4th. Thank you so much.
Mr. Dennison.
Thank you to the Chamber. I appreciate all your hard work tonight and getting us all out here. I know it's got to be quite a task to pull off. Back in 1976, when I first moved here, I remember the sheriff came by my house one day, and he told me, you better knock it off. Well, I was riding my dirt bike up and down the street. You know, back then, that's how a lot of the kids got around in the community. But what it really comes down to is that I've watched this town grow up, and you know, we've had a lot of events that have happened. You know, the earthquake, the water shortage, the economy going up and down like it has everywhere. But one thing I never did is I never wanted to leave Yucca Valley. You know, I grew up down in Orange County, had a great time. But I came out here and I started to fall in love with the place, and I still love the place, and it's going to take a lot of work. You know, one of the nice things about the incorporation, because I wasn't always for it, for the town, but I've seen a lot of great councils come in here and do a lot of great things. Sure, they've missed the mark a few times, absolutely. Who doesn't when they work on a plan? But we try and realign, we try and get back on track again, and we set our sights on what we're supposed to accomplish. And that is ensure the public safety of the community. We want to make sure the infrastructure is good, people can get around. But the biggest thing about doing both of those things is we have to make sure that we have the people and we have the resources to make those things happen. It's just not going to do it all by itself. There's crews out there that are doing a heck of a good job, and it doesn't matter if it's the water distribution system or the roads you drive your car on every single day. We need to have people out there that are taking care of these things. And it's a huge undertaking. So I just want to say that I'm here and I understand a lot of the things that have happened with this community as it's growing up, and there's so many things to go on. And you can call me anytime, please. I'd like to discuss it with anybody that's really concerned about the community and looking at it to become a community, and not just a city that's on a map that you drive through and fill up your car and get some fast food and leave. That isn't what Yucca Valley is. This is a place to sit down and stay and raise your family. At least that's how I look at it. And if you're in that camp, then that's what I want to do, and understand that's clearly what I'm looking at. You can find more information on rickdennison.com. My phone number's there. Call me anytime, and I'm committed to serving Yucca Valley some more. Thank you very much. I appreciate your vote.
Mr. Watson.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to thank the Chamber for inviting me and the other candidates here tonight, and all of you folks that have showed up here. I mentioned hospital earlier. A community this size, 25,000 people plus, definitely needs a hospital. When we were in Alaska, 10,000 plus people lived there, and they had a state-of-the-art hospital, less of a tax structure than what we have here. Some of them may be either not thinking about having a hospital, but when you've got a loved one in the hospital, you shouldn't have to travel all the way to Palm Springs to visit your child, your mother, your grandmother, your father. It should be in your own community. You know, a hospital, the revenue derived from a hospital would enhance the culprits of this city. Rather than have it go out somewhere else, it would benefit the city by having a hospital and the revenue that it would bring here, and also the job that it would occur for people. One other thing I'd like to talk about is we spend $4-some million per year on police protection, just the sheriffs, the fire department, strictly the county. Out of that, we get 2 officers per 24 hours. In other words, there's just 2 officers on duty, any 24/7. If we have 3 emergencies in this town that are real emergencies, they call in other people, but we still don't have our own police protection. We have more community service cars than we do police cars. Those could be just as well being police cars and police that take them home. We ought to look into turning around and possibly having our own police department and getting a little more bang for our buck. And one other thing I'd like to comment on, 1% of our city budget is spent on the council. $98,000 and change, I believe, was spent last budget on the council. They get $488 per month and change. That should be equivalent to enough money for what they do if it's community service. But they get another $1,050 a month for retirement and insurance. Well, you don't take this job as a retirement or insurance. You take it as a community service that you're going to provide as a citizen to your community. You don't turn around, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, feed at the troughs. They're the ones that make the rule. And you should never make a rule that turns around and takes away from the citizens of the community that you do. Shouldn't spend that kind of money, even though it's not a large amount of money. It's still money that could have been spent on a pool, could have been spent on concerts, could have been helped to turn around and help with rodeos, anything that would turn around and benefit the community. I would just like to see some of the citizens or some of the council don't take this perk. I'd like to see all of them not take it and not have it available to them anymore. I'd like to see turn around and take care of the citizens, not themselves, even in a small manner. Thank you.
Mr. Droz.
Does that shorten my time? No, I'm just kidding.
I hope not.
No, it did not.
If you've got any complaints, call them two down there. They said they'll take the phone calls.
I think what's really important is dedication to the community. Well, first, actually, I want to thank everybody for being here. I think it's really important. It was nice to see a lot of people show up, and it's nice to see all the candidates show up, so that's great. But dedication to the community, somebody that's involved in the community, someone that's proven, and that's really important. I do think, we talked about retired and having the time and being retired. I think it's important to have at least a couple of retired people on town council, because there are so many committees to be on. Being on the planning commission, I see what the council members do, and it's a lot. And but I think it's also important to have people that are still working and out in the trenches, and I feel like I fit that bill. I'm out in the community a lot with my job. You know, I work with students and careers and jobs, and I'm visiting a lot of businesses and making a lot of phone calls, and I think being in the trenches is really important. I think my record speaks for itself. I've been 22 years at the high school. I'm a planning commissioner of 3 years, and I've only missed one meeting in 3 years. Like I said, I'm a graduate of Yucca Valley High School, and I just love this community. I think it's really important. The one thing that disturbs me in the last few years, I've seen an insurgence of what I would call special interest groups being really loud in the community, and I don't know if that really represents the true community that we have. And I think it's important to weed through that. And sometimes it is, maybe that group is the voice of the community, but not as much as it seems, I don't think, in my opinion. So I really would like your vote. I would appreciate your vote. And my campaign, I'm taking no donations. I have signs on the back table. So if you want to take a sign and put it in your house window or your business window, you can do that. I'm not taking a penny from anybody. I'm just calling people and shaking hands. So thank you very much, and I hope you vote for me on November 4th.
Mr. McHenry.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you all for staying tonight. I know this has been a long session for you all. And I talked to my wife at the break. She says chairs are getting kind of uncomfortable, so I'll try to go through this as quickly as I can to spare you all. And I thank Jim and Wanda for putting this event on tonight. Since I moved here to Yucca Valley, I've been involved in the community mostly through nonprofit organizations. First, I served with the Yucca Mesa Improvement Association, where I served for 1 year as president. I was also on the board for the Friends of Yucca Valley Library, serving as treasurer for 1 year. I've been on the board at the Joshua Tree National Parks Association for 4 years, serving 3 years as vice president. Like I said, that organization there works with the Park Service. We own and operate the Joshua Tree store. We also operate the visitor centers elsewhere. I oversee budgets for that as part of my responsibilities. I am used to working with the other board members. Some are totally different personalities from my own. And I realize that when we have a job to do working on a board, just like we're on the town council, your decisions you make are the board or the council's decisions, not your personal decisions. You have to do what is right to get the mission done. I'm also a life member of the VFW Post 7264 in Joshua Tree. In the past, I've also served on government commissions here in town. I've served on the Traffic Commission for 3 years, and I was also serving on the General Plan Advisory Committee, which, once again, many diverse personalities, all of which had to get along. If I'm elected, I promise, for one, to listen to the people of the town, to work with the water district to see the sewer project done and through, to work with businesses in town to find ways to make them more successful, to make them work. 4, to work on our infrastructure needs. For further information, you can go to my website, McHenry, the number 4, wardcouncil.com. Thank you very much for your time.
Let's give everybody a round of applause. The Yucca Valley Chamber would like to thank all the candidates for coming out, and of course everyone behind me for coming out and listening. Good evening.